Well, hasn't this just been a swell Sunday before Christmas? The Capitals blow a 2-0 lead. The NHL's in a COVID crisis. Oh my goodness, it's beginning to look a lot like...
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Capitals. I am your host, as always, the insider of the insiders, Tyler Kuehl, here on this Monday edition of Locked On Capitals, where, boy, oh boy, the last 48 hours, this is the last time we talked. First of all, how are you all doing today? How is everybody on this Monday morning? Do you have a case of the Mondays? Do you feel like you just don't know what's going on right now? Welcome to Locked On Capitals, where we're just like you. We're going to get into everything here today. We are good. Yes, we're going to talk about COVID. We're going to get into it. We have to get into it because guess what, kids? The Capitals are in the thick of it. Now, unfortunately, it's not as dire straits as it is maybe north of the border, which we will discuss here in just a moment in time. But we'll get into that. We'll also get into the game that happened on Sunday. We're not going to talk a whole lot about the Winnipeg Jets game on Friday because it'll kind of tie into the Kings game a little bit. That happened Sunday night. The Caps losing to the Los Angeles Kings. And we'll, of course, give our cool caps of the night because we have a big one, a kind of a cool one, a cool little fun story, maybe to end this show on a lighter, positive note, because boy, oh boy, we need those sorts of things these days, because even when there's a little bit of snow, there's not enough light coming off of that to make us all feel chip cheerio there, pal. So let's get into, first of all, thank you all very much for making Locked On Capitals your first listen and first watch of the day. I know I try my best to have some fun with this sort of thing and make you all happy, and it's tough times right now. So the COVID issues, because the reason why we got to talk about the COVID issues is because I've seen a lot of people kind of complain about the loss last night to LA because of COVID. You're right. There were 4 Washington Capitals were out of the lineup. There were a couple players for the Winnipeg Jets when the Caps took them on Friday that were out of the lineup because of COVID protocol. And they weren't COVID protocol, there were injuries, but there have been other games that have had players that have been out of the lineup because of COVID. Of course, Winnipeg had just, lost their coach, Paul Maurice, resigning literally that day. Dave Lowry taking over just hours before that game. My thing is this, and this may just kind of be one big all mush of the LA Kings loss and the COVID issues. So the big news, of course, coming out of yesterday, 2 things. One, the National Hockey League will not have a pause. They announced it. They're not going to pause. They're going to keep trying to put through it as 99.9% of the National Hockey League is vaccinated. Hello, Tyler Bertuzzi. So my first take on that is a little spooky, kind of scared, but you know what? If it works out, if they can get through it, okay. Because right now the variant is really putting a damper on these cases. Like, the cases are rising. And yes, everyone can pound on the ground and say, but this is not as mortal, it's not as bad as the Delta variant and all these past other variants, whatever. I'm like, that's whatever, that's fine. I understand that. But the problem is that people are testing positive. And we kind of discussed it on Friday, the reason why the NHL is still pausing these games, because it is a case-by-case basis. A lot of these teams, because of the COVID issues, the Colorado Avalanche, the Florida Panthers, now the Detroit Red Wings, we've heard, are pausing through Christmas. And yeah, is that kind of the bummer stories that these teams are taking the week off? Well, yes, but the problem is that these teams have been hit hard by COVID. The Caps have only lost 4 players during this time. At most, have only had 4 players. The St. Louis Blues were ravaged earlier this year. They chose not to pause. The Nashville Predators, lately during this great run they've been having, they've been hit with a big COVID bug, but they've kept pushing through it. So it's almost to the point where teams are trying to figure out what's best for them at that time. Is it better to pause a week and just kind of take a couple games off, or keep playing with what we have? Because right now, a lot of the teams are choosing to play. Washington Capitals in particular. Now, granted, the cases aren't bad enough for Washington to take a pause. However, that's why the National Hockey League has not chosen a pause. I know a lot of people are screaming pause. I was ready for a pause to come around here. The league has announced that any games this week that were between two teams from opposite sides of the border, i.e. Canadian versus American teams, those will not happen through the end of Christmas or through the end of this coming week. And my take on it is this. I don't know if it's going to solve anything, but it's something, right? Because right now, the big problem that the NHL is having is that while the COVID testing is getting done quickly and efficiently in the United States, can be done in hours, in Canada, it's not as easy. In Canada, the tests have been taking longer, even though there have been reports from multiple provinces and provincial health governments that they have a lot of tests available. The testing process is slower. That is why the story with the Carolina Hurricanes, they had to sit in the tarmac in Vancouver before having to take Sebastian Aho, and I believe that was Jordan Martinook, or was that Brett Pesce? I think it was Martin. A couple of the Carolina Hurricanes had to go off, had to be taken off the plane because of COVID protocol and had to stay in Vancouver while the rest of the team flew back. So they're just doing this to see if the cases start to subside a little bit, or at least not have to worry about teams having to keep players in Canada because of testing positive up there, especially during the Christmas holiday, because I'm pretty sure a lot of these players want to spend Christmas with their families, not in a hotel in Vancouver, Edmonton, wherever. Of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs' next couple of games have been canceled because of their COVID issues, as have the Vancouver Canucks. They were supposed to play on Saturday. Those games had been postponed. It's right now, yeah, things are looking bleak. I myself, I do daily preview game. When the Red Wings play, I write previews for the Red Wings. So when I kind of plan ahead a little bit, thinking, all right, well, they had to cancel their game on Tuesday because they're supposed to play the Colorado Avalanche, who had already previously postponed and are shutting down operations throughout the week. Well, they're going to play Minnesota on Thursday. Write the article, have it kind of set up, kind of left it open for Minnesota to kind of, adjust it when they play, because they play tomorrow. And of course, what happens, kids? Well, the Red Wings shut down. So it's more or less just to kind of see what happens. I don't expect many of these pauses to take over 2 weeks because, once again, outside of that guy that plays for Detroit, number 59, with long hair and is quite the weirdy, these players can once again test negative twice, asymptomatic, of course, and they can be back in the lineup. And they want to try to keep everyone kind of away from each other to make sure that this COVID bug does not spread to other players, so they don't have to worry about guys keep getting this virus here. So that's really the tough part in this whole thing, is just trying to slowly work their way through getting through this together, but because it's not going to end. That's the problem. Like, this is not going to end tomorrow. It's not going to end by Christmas. It's not going to end by New Year's Day. This is going to be a long, hard, slow process. So, I myself, I'm trying to be optimistic, of course. Easier said than done. But the long and the short of it is this. I don't think we can use COVID as an excuse for hockey games. And by hockey, I mean for teams to lose games at this point. And I'll explain why here in just a little bit. Because COVID is an issue, and I understand why Ontario, of course, is at half capacity, why the Canadians took a big loss having no fans against Philly in their last game. I understand that. But right now, I think COVID, because a couple people already wrote out, Michael, well, of course the Caps lost today. They had a COVID-depleted lineup. I'll get to my point here in just a minute, why I think that's a bunch of malarkey right now. But first, I got to tell you guys about Built Bar. Yes, it's the holiday season, and grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar, Built Bar. Filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, and high in protein. You get the best of both worlds with Built Bar, delicious and healthy. Built Bar gives you that extra fuel you need to bust down the mall doors and battle the holiday shoppers as well. Or if you're just standing in endless shopping lines, Built Bar can give you the extra something you need to keep going. So throw one in your jacket or purse, because you never know when you're going to need it. Are you friends with Santa? Well, tell Santa to throw a few of those Built Bars in the stockings. When with so many flavors, they'd make anyone's Christmas morning a happy one. Go to Built.com right now to use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. 15% off by using LOCKED15 at Built.com. Now, yes, I'm sure a few of you right now are probably screaming like, Tyler, why in the world why are you defending the Caps, or like saying defending the Kings win, I guess, if you will, saying that, oh my gosh, the COVID depleted lineup, that's why they lost. Well, let's look at this game here. The Caps were up 2-0 at any point in this hockey game. If you have a 2-0 lead in the National Hockey League and you want to be considered an elite team in the National Hockey League, 2-goal leads should be enough. Good goaltending, Vitek Vanacek. Not going to really knock him on this game, but with the 2-goal lead, you should win this hockey game. Will they power play with so many weapons? I get it. You're right. Kuznetsov, Oshie, Backstrom, out of the lineup. Ovi's still there, though. Johnny Carlson's still there, though. Lars Eller's had power play time. Daniel Sprong's had power play time in the past. But here's the problem. They still couldn't get it done. Let's kind of take about through how this whole game went here. Caps get on the board first because Connor McMichael, ladies and gentlemen, that is right. My good boy from the London Knights, World Junior Championship veteran Connor McMichael scores his 4th goal of the season. Bangs it in by Garrett Sparks, starting for the LA Kings here. Okay. Guy that played in the ECHL last year. I didn't think the Kings had it that bad with their goaltending position. Yep, there he is starting. Mike Michael gets his 4th of the season. Who gets the assist? That is right, kids. Joe Snively, the local boy, just 25 miles and change away. Washington Little Capitals alum. And he gets the primary assist and his first point with his mom and dad in the crowd, of course, because literally, I mean, they're right down the road. It's kind of hard for them to miss the game, right? They end up going up 1-0. Great moment, of course. Snively, who got the rookie lap and everything. There's a great photo that's going around social media of him coming out for the warm-ups first. It's a real cool moment for him. So it's 1-0. Awesome. Great sweetness. And then a little bit of nonsense happens. At one point, the game itself it was very physical, pretty chippy. It was kind of entertaining. Blake Lizotte got into a Trevor Van Riemsdyk, and then all of a sudden, Brendan Lemieux found himself fighting. Oh gosh, who is he fighting? He was fighting Beck Mallenstein. He got into a fight with. Lemieux got an extra 2 minutes for the roughing call, so Caps got a power play. Unsuccessful. Well, that's not good. And then a couple minutes later, Blake Lizotte hooks up a guy. All right, that's a good catch by the official. It ends up, I believe the penalty was for, it was called, what was it called for? It was hooking on Justin Schultz. Remember the hooking call? I just forgot what capital it was. Hooks Justin Schultz about the halfway mark of the period and starts chirping. Starts beaking at, was it Kelly Sutherland that made the call? Starts giving him the lip business and gets the extra 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct. They put it on NHL.com as abusive officials. Come see, come saw, same thing. And so, big opportunity in this hockey game, a 4-minute power play. And I look over on the far side, I'm like, Alex Ovechkin on the power play isn't really the hardest skater. He just kind of floats on that left side, maybe does a little loop in the neutral zone, but I'm like, he could be out here the whole 4 minutes. And it came into my head, I'm like, man, this is a great opportunity here. And I get, and they cycled out pretty much the other 4 players. Ovi stayed out the entire 4 minutes. Nothing. Ovi had a couple of chances on the one-timer in this game on the power play. Sparks made a couple of good-looking saves, but it just seemed like without Kuznetsov, without Backstrom, without Oshie, they kept trying to force the play to go to Ovechkin. Carlson and him weren't connecting on those passes, unfortunately, and I think Carlson should have taken a few more shots from the point. I mean, it's with a goaltender like Sparks, having seen him play in the past, having seen him play in both the American League and with his stints with Toronto in the National Hockey League. He's a goaltender you should try to put pucks on net on, guys. There's a reason why he's kind of bounced around the minor league system the last couple of years. And they just didn't take enough opportunities. And granted, the Kings got a lot of block shots as well. They got in the way of a lot of lanes, got good sticks in there. They kill off the entire penalty. However, right as the penalty expires, Justin Schultz walks in, makes sure at least they got something out of it. He picks the top corner. It's 2-0 goal for Justin Schultz, only his 2nd of the season. Connor Sheary and Garnet Hathaway, who is coming back from the COVID list, gets the assist on the goal. So it's 2-0. Good, perfect, awesome. Defensive breakdown, though, later on in the period leads to Blake Lizotte. Yes, that guy, the guy that just came out of the box, was fresh after sitting for 4 minutes. He scores his third of the season. Nice play by Alex Iafallo to work it out to him. Just, once again, defensive breakdown, left open in front. Not a great shot, not much Vanacek could have done on that one. So it's 2-1 going into the third period. Caps are out shooting them. They're out playing them for the most part, but the Kings are still within striking distance. And don't forget, this is an LA Kings team that they've had a little bit of a tough road trip here. It's same thing as when the Caps go out west. Kings are coming out east. Different time change, different setup, kind of a new environment, trying to get some wins. It's not too easy for them. So it seemed like Caps need to bring it down. Just kind of play good defensive hockey, let Vanacek make a couple saves. Well, here comes Roy down the right side. He takes a long shot. I'm not saying this is a bad play by Vanacek, but this would be the one that would kind of point the finger and said, maybe could have had this one. Matt Roy comes out, takes a long shot. Vanacek with the right leg, kicks it out. Juicy rebound. Goaltenders can kick out rebounds nowadays. The way the pads are made, you can kick pucks out into the high slot because typically they go far enough away from harm's way. Unfortunately, once again, the Washington Capitals, something we've seen way too many times this season, they're unable to pick up the guys on the rebound in front of the goal in the slot. Here comes Christian Wallinen, who has not scored in 2 years, ends up sneaking it by Vanacek on the rebound. It's 2-2. Great. Well, now we're back to a tie game. And the worst part is, like, it wasn't in the third period got really, I don't say it got quiet, but penalties wise, like, the Caps were not going to get any more opportunities on the power play. I mean, Elias Anderson and Connor Sheary got into it, but Anderson dropped the gloves. Sheary did nothing. But anyways, right before that led, because it was 4-on-4 with a goal by Wallinen. But I'm just like, they missed their opportunities. They missed those power play opportunities, and that's why it was 2-2 late in the third period. Matt Roy just then flutters a puck up down the ice about the halfway or a few minutes later. And I'm watching this puck and I'm seeing it bouncing. And anytime I ever see a bouncing puck towards a goaltender, I'm like, something bad's going to happen. You know, just the laundry list is just massive. Sebastian Caron, Jonathan Quick, Marty Brodeur, Vesa Toskala. Like, if you see a bouncing puck towards a goaltender, something weird's going to happen. Well, this time it didn't just bounce right in. Adrian Kempe is coming in on goal. He's going to try to collect this bouncing vulcanized rubber, which clearly was not frozen well enough at Capital One Arena. Tries to go forehand backhand, hits the top of his blade when he pulls it across, and ends up picking the top corner. 12th goal of the season for Adrian Kempe. By the way, leads the Kings in that category. It is 3-2. Caps get a couple of chances, but nothing super dangerous at all. Despite out-shooting LA 35-24 in this one, they lose 3-2. Yeah, not too good on this one. And like I said, I get it. I get it. They didn't have certain playmakers, some certain offensive weapons. Tom Wilson's still out with an upper body injury. Okay. Here's the thing. Welcome to the National Hockey League. Welcome to the NHL, where you're not going to have full lineups. Yeah, the Caps have not had a full lineup. Craig McLaughlin said it. We haven't had a full lineup the entire season. And they're still one of the best teams in the league. I don't care who is in the lineup. These are NHLers, and you go 0 for 6 on a power play. When you get that many opportunities, you got to crack one of those. That's my thing. In saying that it's a depleted COVID lineup, listen, teams across the league have COVID depleted lineups. Colorado, that's the reason why they had a pause season, because they had too many. But they played a Nashville team one night that had just as many players out with COVID. Heck, they pretty much had the Milwaukee Admirals play in that game last week, and the Preds still won that hockey game. Excuses are, I've always come up with that mentality is that the only time I ever made an excuse on something was that if I was a goaltender, I couldn't see the shot. If I legitimately could not see a shot, then that's the only case that every time I could say, well, I got nothing on that one. Any other shot that I faced, I could have stopped. But that was the only excuse I ever made. When everyone else is having COVID issues, you can't point the finger and say, oh, woe was us. We didn't have all of our top guys. You know what? Darn it. Shoot. That's what happens in today's world. My goodness. I'm sorry. This can't be like the NFL where they just move the game back a couple days to let the players test negative, whatever the heck they want to call it in the NFL or NBA these days. But the matter is this. It's going to happen to the Caps. It's going to happen to other teams. And all you're going to have to do is compete hard and try to win hockey games. Don't say depleted COVID lineup. Your team lost because they have players that are in the National Hockey League. They lost to another National Hockey League team. Doesn't matter who's in the lineup, who's out of the lineup. Just, I don't want to hear that excuse, okay? I get it. It's an easy tagline for the media. I understand that. It's an easy gig. Easy gig in that by saying that, oh man, the Caps lost because they didn't have these guys. It's an easy 150 words you can put in an article. I'm a victim of that myself, okay? But the long and the short of it is this. On the ice, you're right. You still have Ovechkin, okay? You still have a guy like Connor McMichael, who he played 6 minutes. He scores your first goal of your hockey game. Like, what did he do to Pierre Laviolette later on in the game that gave him 6? I'm sorry. I'm nothing against Joe Snively, and I get it's a big moment for him. But Joe Snively played almost an entire shift longer than Connor McMichael. 6:18 for Connor McMichael for you kids at home. Beck Mallenstein 7:18 or 7:14. And I mean, and yes, Alexi Proas plays 13:45. That's awesome. Now, yes, the power plays had something to do with it, but heck, Connor McMichael's an offensive weapon. Throw him out on the power play if you're going 0 for 4, 0 for 5. Like, it's ridiculous. And I'm not pointing the finger at Laviolette saying this is a bad decision, this was a bad coach game or whatever, because once again, you gave up a 2-0 lead. The players have to own up to that end. So this is a loss of differing proportions. I thought they could have been better all around. So now you got to shake it off. You got a day off before you take on the Philadelphia Flyers. Supposedly, the day after that, you take on the Philadelphia Flyers, New York Islanders. Yeah, I hope I didn't get that mixed up. Flyers on Tuesday, Islanders on Thursday. I need to go to sleep. Holy moly. So, yeah, that is going to be the upcoming schedule. I know those are two teams that have kind of struggled right now in the Metropolitan Division, but listen, at this point, there's no games off. And if you're going to say the fact, well, we don't have our star playmakers and our other skill guys in the lineup, well, shoot, then you better work harder to beat these teams that, even with a half-decent lineup, you should probably beat right now the way they're playing heading into Christmas. So that is kind of it for the Washington Capitals game against LA. They're sitting okay though. They're 18-6-7. It's not like they're far out of first place, I believe, because the Carolina Hurricanes play tomorrow. They're still tied with the Canes. I'm going to pull up the schedule, make sure I'm not missing any games today. Because the Hurricanes have also postponed through the rest of the week. So they're not playing either. So everyone's going to be kind of stuck right now. Points-wise, I will say this. Kind of dumb for me to be looking at the standings right now because so many teams are not playing right now. So right now, they're still tied atop the Metropolitan Division with Carolina. Carolina, who is 21-7-1, and do now have 2 games in hand on the Washington Capitals. So we'll kind of give our Kuehl caps of the night, look around at the scores that did happen on Sunday night. But first, guys, I got to tell you about BetOnline. It has you covered all season long with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues its march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to their new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive the bonus. From basketball, football, boxing, UFC, favorite Vegas casino games, right to the National Hockey League. Do not wait to take advantage of all of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Let's look at the scores from Sunday night, shall we? They're all done. Cool. At this point in the night, I would hope so. Even the West Coast games, because there are no West Coast games, because the Leafs couldn't play Seattle, which would have been their first game at Clanton Pledge Arena, and of course the Vancouver Canucks are also postponed as well, and also because they canceled all cross-country games and whatnot, inter-country games. So the only games that happen, only 4 on the schedule: the Vegas Golden Knights in a shootout, knocking off the New York Islanders. New York trying to get a point, and they did, just not the extra one they probably wanted. Winnipeg Jets bounce back. First win for Dave Lowry. And behind the bench for the Winnipeg Jets, they win 4-2 over the St. Louis Blues. That was, I believe, the last game because the Blues were already in town. That's why they played. The LA Kings, of course, beating the Washington Capitals. And the Pittsburgh Penguins holding on to beat the New Jersey Devils in Newark, New Jersey, 3-2, the winners there. Games on Monday night, only 2 now because of all the postponements. Buffalo hosting Columbus at 7 o'clock, and the Minnesota Wild heading to the Big D, Dallas, take on the Stars, the Minnesota North Stars versus the Minnesota Wild on Monday. And as of right now, we have, before anything else crazy happens, we have 2 games on Monday, 3 on Wednesday, 3 on Tuesday, 4 on Tuesday. Why did I read 3 somewhere? 4 on Tuesday, and so far none on Wednesday. A full 6 games on Thursday, and no games on Friday, I believe. Those good. You want to know how many games are postponed and how crazy it is? There's 6 games on Thursday, and there were supposed to be a grand total of 15 games on Thursday, the last day of hockey before Christmas. That would have been something, but unfortunately, we have no hockey through now. It looks to be the 27th, because as far as we know, that's when the teams are going to start playing again. Kuehl caps of the night. I only got 2. I'm going to give one to Justin Schultz. Justin Schultz, a beautiful shot over Garrett Sparks, his 2nd goal of the season. Good-looking shot. And also, of course, Joe Snively. First NHL game, your hometown team, plays D1 college hockey, made it all the way up to the big time, and didn't get to wear 97, which he wore with the little caps, but you know what? 91's pretty close. And, of course, he gets the first point on the first goal of the hockey game as well. To Connor McMichael, who apparently had to face the media even though he played the least amount of hockey tonight. That's whatever. Well, that is it, folks, for this edition of Locked On Caps. I think this is a good way to end this one here, for this Monday edition. Back tomorrow to get you set for the game against the Philadelphia Flyers, which at this point is going to happen, I think. Let's hope so, because boy, oh boy, if things start to get this slow, yikes indeed. We will talk about that. Thank you very much for watching once again, making Locked On Capitals your first listen and watch of today and every day. Now go make Locked On Bets your one-stop shop for all of your gambling needs, your second listen, where your boy Kuehl and Lee Sterling give you the expert analysis for all that you need on the daily action. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Caps. Follow me, the Insider of the Insiders, Tyler Kuehl, at TJKU29 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, where I did a fun little thing that I question for you guys. Well, I give you something here. How many arenas in the National Hockey League, where they're played right now, are still being used under the original name when they were built, when they were opened? It's a great question, right? How many? Not as many as you think. But according to what I talked with Gil the other day, when him and I were chatting up about, we were talking about the World Juniors, which is on the Monday edition of Locked On NHL. So if you want to make that your second listen, I won't be mad either. We did a World Junior preview. That was pretty fun. Took a little bit longer than expected. But when Gil Martin and I were talking, I asked him how many. He went low on me, which was probably a good guess, but it's an interesting number. Check it out on my TikTok, where I break down each and every arena with a little bit of fun little snippets as well with them. That is it. I'm Tyler Kuehl, the Insider of the Insider, saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow here on Locked On Capitals.